So in this video, I'm going to go over how to teach your child to complete a wooden inset puzzle, as well as tips on selecting a puzzle for your child, and then also tips on how to increase their interest in puzzles as well. So the first step in teaching your child how to complete a wooden inset puzzle is for you to model how to complete a wooden inset puzzle. Now, there's a few key things that you'll want to do as you're modeling it to your child. The first is you'll want to say the name of the object that's featured on the puzzle piece itself as you're fitting that into the correct form on the form board. So for example, if you have an animal farm puzzle and you have the cow piece in your hand, you'll want to say cow as you're placing that piece into the correct form on the form board. The other key thing is that you'll want to point to the correct form on the form board that matches the piece that's in your hand as you're modeling. So again, if you have that cow piece in your hand, you'll point to the piece and say cow, and then you'll point to the correct form on the form board that also features the cow. So that way you're showing to your child that you want to look for the image that is the same both in the form on the form board as well as on the puzzle piece itself. And so after you've modeled how to complete the puzzle to your child, you'll be ready for step 2. And in step 2, what you'll do is you'll continue with modeling by placing in all of the pieces of the puzzle into the correct form on the form board, but leave one piece left for your child to complete. And so when there's one piece left, what you'll do is you'll say your turn, and then you'll say the name of the object that's featured on that puzzle piece, and then point to where it belongs on the form board. So that way your child will know where it belongs, and they'll have had all that modeling that you've done to know that that's what they need to do in order to complete the puzzle. Now, the reason why it's key that you complete all of the other pieces first is that, one, it leaves just one choice for them of where they need to put the item in. So there's really no room for error here. They just need to target it directly to that form on the form board. And the other piece is that your child gets the benefit of having done the last part to complete the puzzle. So there's a lot of achievement that's left with them completing that last piece. And so once your child has had a few successful opportunities of putting that final piece of the puzzle into the correct form on the form board, then you'll be ready for step 3. And in step 3, you're going to progress your child by giving them just one more piece that they have to complete. So in this last example, I was saying that you would give your child just that last piece to put into the puzzle itself. Now, what you'll want to do is you'll want to give them 2 pieces to put in. And then as they got really good putting in those final 2 pieces into the form board, then you'll progress them to 3 pieces, and so on and so forth until they're able to complete the whole puzzle itself. So now that you know the steps in teaching your child how to complete a wooden inset puzzle, I'm going to go over tips on how to select a puzzle that will be easiest for your child to start off with. And so my first tip is for you to pick a puzzle that has fewer pieces to it. As I was mentioning in the steps of how to teach your child, you're only going to give them that one piece and then progress them from there in terms of completing the puzzle itself. So you'll want to have one that overall just has a couple of pieces, like 3 or 4. That way they get to completing the whole puzzle itself much sooner. My second tip is to ensure that the puzzle that you select has the picture of the puzzle piece featured in the form where that puzzle piece belongs. And that is key because that will be a much easier cue for your child to identify where that puzzle piece goes versus having one that's blank or empty, and so the child will just rely on needing to know the exact form is the same as the puzzle piece. And so in this last part of my video, I'm going to go over some tips on how you can increase your child's interest in puzzles overall. And so my first tip is for you to add a sing-song component to when you're completing the puzzle. So let's say you have an animal farm puzzle and your child loves the song Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Well, what you can do is you can sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm as you're completing the puzzle itself. And so that way, when it's paired with something that you know your child likes, they will likely have more interest and motivation to engage with the puzzle itself. My second tip is for you to provide your child with frequent and consistent exposure and modeling. And so you'll want to make sure that the puzzle itself is very accessible and within reach of their toy box. Also, too, you'll want to make sure that you are modeling how to complete the puzzle even when your child hasn't picked it out of the toy bin. And so that way your child will see that it's something that you value and something that you attend to throughout the day, which means that they'll likely have more interest in it because they see that you're interested in it. And my last tip is to start introducing puzzles as young as possible. So even before your child, say, may have the physical ability to even grasp the puzzle piece itself and put it in or flip over the form board to dump out all the pieces, you can show your child how to complete the puzzle itself. So that way, when it comes time for them to have the ability to actually grasp the puzzle pieces and maybe even flip over that form board to dump the pieces out, they'll already have some understanding of how they're supposed to interact with the puzzles themselves. And so those are the steps in how to teach your child how to complete a wooden inset puzzle, as well as tips on how to choose a puzzle that will be easiest for your child to learn the skill with. And then lastly, how to increase their interest in puzzles themselves. Thanks for watching my video.